Sen varoasir, little thingy, walk out, Seigneur, alla moli, walk med hadredo, riker tivar, kriver baldri, aller draumar.
There's no denying that 2020 was a tough year, and for video games in particular, we saw delays, canceled events, and mismanaged releases. That said, it's also been a pivotal landmark with the arrival of brand new consoles, as well as some great games to ensure the previous generation shouldn't be forgotten just yet. We spent a full day discussing all of our top picks for 2020, and we went so long that we had to schedule a second meeting just to share our thoughts on Game of the Year. If you have the time, be sure to catch the many hours of deliberations to see exactly how we narrowed down our nominees and final winners. However, if you'd rather cut to the chase, the following provides a relatively quick summary as we present awards across 15 categories, leading up to our 2020 Game of the Year. Best Boss Fight. After years of support, Monster Hunter World and its expansion Iceborne have finally culminated in their most deadly hunt yet, Fatalis. Fans pondered how Square Enix could pull off the ludicrous fight against Hell House in Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it doesn't disappoint. Said in a fighting arena, an enthusiastic announcer accompanied by the raucous audience helps raise the stakes to soaring heights. The Last of Us is no stranger to brutal and disturbing imagery, but the Rat King is by far the most grotesque creature on the list. It cares nothing for the cramped depths of the hospital as it smashes through anything and everything to pulverize Abby with a lethal snap of the neck. Anytime Sephiroth reveals himself, it comes with sky-high expectations. The iconic villain's legacy has lasted for decades, and thankfully, Final Fantasy VII Remake delivers a fight worthy of his reputation. One-winged angel has never hit so hard. Among the bosses of Hades, the duo of Theseus and Asterius stands out the most, combining ranged precision and brute force. Theseus calling for the aid of the same gods who help Zagreus raises interesting questions about family and allegiances. And the winner is Hell House. Best Shooter. The nominees are Destiny 2 Beyond Light is one of the best expansions we've seen from the game in some time, ready to usher players in on new consoles to continue their journey. Doom Eternal takes the foundation of id Software's glorious return in 2016 and cranks the volume, adding more maneuverability, more deadly enemies, and more strategies to its arenas. It would be easy to assume that Half-Life Alyx is just a quick spin-off, but there's a solid and robust adventure here. Every shot counts as you scrounge for ammo, and the process of physically jamming bullets into your guns creates tension every time you need to reload. Flying X-Wings is accounted for some of gaming's greatest pastimes, so it's great to get back in the cockpit in Star Wars Squadrons, bringing a variety of ships as well as multiplayer and VR. And the winner is Doom Eternal. Best Multiplayer. The nominees are Technically, Among Us first tested the bonds of friendship back in 2018, but 2020 is the year the game took the world by storm. The human element that draws us together thrives in this environment, unlike anything else this year. When many of us can no longer enjoy the daily pleasures we took for granted, Animal Crossing New Horizons provides meaningful respite from the hardships of reality with its joyful nature and simple delights. Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout expertly taps into the competitive spirit, presenting a chaotic party game that lures you in with its simplicity before it finally hooks you with its addictive minigames. The only thing better than playing as a samurai in Ghost of Tsushima is playing with up to 4 unique classes. Teaming up to take on various missions or tackle lengthy dungeons is the surprise nobody expected, even more so given it's a free update. Survival horror games are a dime a dozen lately, but Phasmophobia cleverly pushes its teamwork angle by requiring players to experiment with various tools and techniques if they hope to leave each house alive, maybe netting a lucrative payday. And the winner is Among Us. Best World Design. The nominees are: Ghost of Tsushima boasts a sprawling island divided into 3 acts, with villagers, foxes, birds, and the wind itself to guide Jin Sakai where he needs to go. We can't help but be in awe of its beauty as we soak in the hot springs or race across open fields of bright flowers. Although it rewrites itself on each attempt to reach the surface, Hades is more than just a trial by fire. Upgrading your home and deciding which upgrades to fight for make the challenges unexpected and the victory sweet. Even while passing through streets reduced to rubble and sewers full of grotesque monsters, it's hard not to marvel at the fascinating detail of Half-Life Alyx. Seeing it in VR makes it feel all the more real, but it's how the seams stitch together that make it truly impressive. The Last of Us Part 2 tells a grueling story full of love and loss, and the many maps you have to cross to see the end work just as hard as the lines in the script and the actors performing them. It all comes together to push its nail-biting survival to the absolute limit. The interconnected pathways of Ori and the Will-o'-the-Wisps blend beautifully with the picturesque backdrops that scroll by and the expressive beings that you fight or make friends with. It's modeled by true masters of their craft, laying out an epic journey from start to finish. And the winner is Half-Life Alyx. Best 7. When discussing the most memorable games of the year, it may seem out of place to specifically highlight titles that didn't hit the highest marks. But just because a game isn't genre-defining doesn't make it bad. With the right expectations, some games can be just the warm blanket you need. The nominees are: Musou games may never be mainstream, but Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity does its best to win fans over with its stellar presentation, gratifying content, and robust narrative, all painted in an authentic shade of Breath of the Wild. Don't fold to the peer pressure when it comes to Paper Mario: The Origami King. It's a delightful RPG with a wonderful cast of characters, a beautiful soundtrack, and a unique battle system that puts the series back on the right track. Roki is a charming tale of bonds between siblings and a young girl coming to grips with the reality that the monsters from her brother's stories actually exist. Its captivating tale, storybook visuals, and witty puzzles draw you in to a fascinating adventure. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated is a remaster that perfectly captures the charm of its source material, yet it still delivers a satisfying 3D platforming experience that's rare for most licensed games. You can't go wrong with a game about killing Nazis, especially when they take on the form of the Walking Dead. Zombie Army 4 Dead War taps into this time-honored tradition with an abundance of blood and chaos that leaves you yearning for more. And the winner is SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Best Remaster or Remake. The nominees are: The worst kept secret for years, Bluepoint's visual wizardry is on display once more in Demon Souls, a faithful recreation of the groundbreaking RPG that features unforgettable bosses and plenty of opportunities to die with grace or without. Final Fantasy VII Remake goes above and beyond our wildest expectations in ways we couldn't even imagine. It's an absolute pleasure and rare treat to revisit a game in a way that makes it feel new once again. Resident Evil 3 certainly lives in the shadow of its predecessor, but kudos to Capcom for the bold choice to take this remake in a different direction. In a way, by preserving the shorter, more action-heavy nature of the original survival horror game, Jill and Carlos's harrowing escape from Raccoon City feels more like a faithful adaptation. After being dormant for years, the revered skateboarding experience returns to form in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Revisiting these revamped classics reveals that we still yearn for a good grind, kickflip, ollie, or 360 any day of the week. Third time's the charm for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which allows us to relive the grand adventures of Shulk and friends with gorgeous new visuals, one of the best soundtracks of all time, and a compelling new follow-up in Future Connected. And the winner is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Best Additional Content. The nominees are: Sucker Punch really went all out with its free update to Ghost of Tsushima. Legends allows you to team up with friends in the roles of a samurai, hunter, ronin, or assassin. You can progress through story missions, fight for your life in survival missions, or take on MMO-style raids where teamwork is essential to victory. When it comes to Animal Crossing New Horizons, we always expect a healthy amount of seasonal activities, but Nintendo ramped up the efforts this time around. Not every update is a winner, but being able to swim out into the ocean and dive, having special themed weddings, or being able to celebrate New Year's remotely during the pandemic are just a few of our favorite things. Mortal Kombat 11 is well known for its guest characters, but some of the most insane additions joined the fight this year. The Joker, Spawn, RoboCop, and John Rambo are just a few of the celebrity crossovers, but the real showstopper is the Aftermath expansion, with its gripping new story mode that's a must-see. Nintendo teased the possibility of visiting previously axed content with the release of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, but almost nobody expected a brand new, standalone adventure. Shulk and Melia worked together with new allies to explore a massive open environment that serves as a fantastic preview of things to come. Blizzard's juggernaut World of Warcraft enters its 17th year of service with the release of its latest expansion, Shadowlands. It's a return to form with a brilliant new setting and engrossing content updates that easily draws veterans back home with open arms. And the winner is Mortal Kombat 11. Best game to play in one night. The nominees are: Astro's Playroom comes with every PS5 to show off the new DualSense controller, but it offers so much more than a simple demo. It's a celebration of PlayStation history with boundless joy around every corner. The B-movie horror continues in the Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope, and while it isn't the shortest game on this list, it's absolutely worth binging past midnight with a friend or two. There's an underlying sadness to The Last Campfire that lends meaning to its directive of helping others find hope. Tactile puzzles and an ending that's open to interpretation certainly leaves you with plenty to think about. Hot on the heels of RE2, Resident Evil 3's remake has Nemesis hunting you through Raccoon City once again. He won't stop, so neither should you, until the mission is complete. Streets of Rage 4 is a love letter to classic beat-em-ups, complete with a bangin' soundtrack. Busting through a few skulls with a lead pipe is the perfect way to blow off steam after work, especially if you can get a friend to join you for a full run. And the winner is Astro's Playroom. Best Character. The nominees are: The Last of Us Part 2 is an emotional punch to the gut, and Abby is an essential part of the journey. Her story painfully shows the consequences of vengeance. Yakuza is known for having some of the most easily likable characters in video games, which makes Ichiban Kasuga even more impressive since he's one of the series' best. His unquenchable optimism is a bright light that's easy to rally around. Johnny Silverhand may spit fire on the mic when he's singing with his band Samurai, but there's far more to him than rock and roll swagger. Unraveling the conflict that rages on inside him is a great aspect of Cyberpunk 2077. Being Spider-Man is a tough job, a fact that Miles Morales is well aware of. Seeing him grow into the role of superhero is delightful, since Miles is a fantastic blend of awkward and heroic. Hades may be the name of the game, but it's really Zagreus' show. As you repeatedly try to escape the clutches of your father, you learn more about the Prince of the Underworld's history, which is filled with captivating moments. And the winner is Ichiban Kasuga. Best Narrative. And the nominees are: With so many characters, threads, and concepts, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim could easily run the risk of being overly convoluted. Instead, it manages to pull off one of the most captivating and charming stories of the year. Hades leverages its tale in the most marvelous of ways, introducing a large cast and a seemingly endless amount of dialogue that's expertly paced, wonderfully delivered, and keeps you coming back for more. The Last of Us Part 2 is an exploration of grief, anger, and trauma. Quiet moments along the way not only develop Ellie and Abby's relationships with other characters, but bring us into their raw vulnerabilities, connecting deeply with the pain they both endure. Spider-Man Miles Morales has the feel-good attitude we needed for the holidays. Without his mentor to guide him, Miles struggles to make a place for himself, but does so with care and respect for his friends and family. With Yakuza Like a Dragon, Sega shows that they don't need familiar leads to keep you invested. Ichiban Kasuga is just as charismatic as Kazuma and Majima, and getting to know his team of diverse companions is one of the game's primary strengths. And the winner is 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Best Weapon. The nominees are: Final Fantasy VII Remake has tons of memorable moments, characters, and imagery. The Buster Sword is Cloudstrife's trademark weapon, and for such a massive blade, he wields it with finesse and speed. All of the weapons in Hades are fun to use, but the Eternal Spear blends flawlessly with the game's combat. During each fight, it takes a few seconds for enemies to spawn in, giving you a chance to load up a devastating spin attack. It can also be transformed into a variety of forms, like the Aspect of Achilles, that encourages rushing towards opponents for additional damage. Each Souls game comes stacked with countless weapons, but few are as intimidating as the Meat Cleaver. Created from the soul of the Adjudicator, wielding this massive blade requires incredible strength and vitality, showcased through the devastating R2 attack. Building off the legacy of one of the most widely loved weapons in video game history, id Software has made one simple change to the Super Shotgun that we don't think we can ever live without: the grappling hook. Jin Sakai's journey to save his homeland in Ghost of Tsushima is epic, and the legacy of the Sakai Katana contributes to the narrative in powerful ways. The weapon of a samurai has never felt so lethal or significant. And the winner is Super Shotgun. Best Music. And the nominees are: Animal Crossing New Horizons is a game that invites you to live in it, which is why it's so important for the music to complement whatever you're doing, rather than wearing you down with repetition. Themes change by the hour, the tone shifts with the weather, and there are so many different tunes to swap on the radios, however it suits your mood. The historic Final Fantasy VII soundtrack has been remixed and reinterpreted countless times over the decades, but Final Fantasy VII Remake somehow makes it feel new again, deftly weaving familiar bits into new ranges and situations. The culmination of some of the most iconic boss themes sends chills down our spines. The music of Supergiant's Darren Korb always manages to pull off something special, and Hades is no exception. Ancient threads mix with rocky rhythms, and its ballads stir the soul. Ori and the Will of the Wisps already started with a powerful main theme, but it goes the extra mile by only choosing the most effective moments to raise that theme to the surface. The environmental tracks communicate a sense of place and evolve as you heal the land, while the care taken and how the score is implemented truly connects you to Ori's journey. The existence of Streets of Rage 4 is unlikely enough, but the fact that its music also lives up to its legacy is more than we could hope for. These beats are the perfect backdrop for tackling thugs, and they do a phenomenal job of capturing the spirit of the originals while weaving in modern inspiration. And the winner is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Best Platformer. The nominees are: if you have a PS5, there's no excuse. Do not pass up Astro's Playroom. It's way better than it has any right to be, with excellent controls that really showcase the strengths of the DualSense. Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time lives up to its name in this sequel with wonderful new additions. It doesn't redefine the genre or really strive for innovation, but rather embraces some brilliant ideas while remaining meticulously true to the classic style of the series. Ori and the Will of the Wisps retains what the original did well, trims what held it back, and manages to add in marvelous new elements that elevate this follow-up to new heights. Nothing feels quite as good as stringing together Ori's various platforming techniques to seamlessly traverse one of the most striking visual landscapes of the year. Little Big Planet may not have garnered praise for its platforming mechanics, but Sackboy: A Big Adventure remedies these past criticisms with its refreshing controls. It dazzles with a beautiful art style, imaginative levels, and a catchy soundtrack. Spelunky 2 embraces what made its predecessor such a resounding success. Plenty of traps and deadly enemies waiting to strike the moment you let your guard down. New additions help elevate the adventure above the original, including a mount system that lets you ride companions like an ordinary turkey. each with their own distinct abilities. And the winner is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Best Role-Playing Game. The nominees are Demon's Souls turned the genre on its head by pushing back against many of the established notions like difficulty, progression, and level design. Even after all these years, and several sequels that improve the formula, the original Souls entry still stands the test of time, and the visual overhaul in this PS5 remake is truly a masterclass effort. There was no way that Final Fantasy VII Remake could live up to the extraordinary legacy of the original, but in the end, it didn't have to. A groundbreaking battle system, inspiring new takes on locations and events, and the bold decision to alter the story while still feeling faithful to the source material all prove Square Enix are still one of the best in the business. Nioh 2 doesn't strive for innovation, but rather doubles down on its battle-tested format while addressing several of its predecessor's key weak points. It amounts to another rousing combat system, challenging bosses, and punishing environments. Some may argue that Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition didn't garner the recognition it deserved the first time around, but Nintendo gives it the proper treatment this time, with enhanced visuals, an updated soundtrack, and numerous quality-of-life updates that make this the best way to experience one of the best RPGs of all time. Yakuza Like a Dragon is a brilliant new take on the established series, delivering an emotionally charged story with a memorable cast, all wrapped in an appealing RPG package. Exploring the streets of Kamurocho and diving into the countless side attractions never felt so rewarding. And the winner is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Best Trailer. The nominees are Deathloop is not an easy game to explain, so who better to take us through its intricacies than the protagonist that has to figure it all out to escape in the second gameplay trailer. This campaign has an unmistakable style, and when it's matched with Arcane's insane combat and new mind-boggling time rotations, the results are really fun to watch. Some people were frustrated that The Last of Us Part 2 wasn't exactly honest with how it sold the sequel's story, but Naughty Dog clearly held our emotions in the palm of their hand before launch. Nowhere is this more heightened than in its story trailer, a brief look at some of the campaign's most powerful moments, achieved without hearing from more than half of the cast. The announcement of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart went hand in hand with the reveal of the PlayStation 5's true potential. Not only does it show what the system is capable of, it joyously reunites us with old friends, and then teases with an introduction that still has us guessing. We heard rumors about where Resident Evil Village would take us, but the announcement is still full of hair-raising chills. New mysteries set in an old castle pull the viewer into this nightmare that isn't afraid to let heroes die. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate rarely disappoints when it comes to trailers, so the epic appearance of the one-winged angel is appropriately over the top. It isn't just an extra-long sword and charging theme that does all the work either, with Nintendo shocking us with visual gags when we thought there wasn't anything else this series could do to surprise us. And the winner is Resident Evil Village announcement trailer. And now the nominees for our 2020 Game of the Year. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. On paper, 13 Sentinels sounds overstuffed. Its Byzantine narrative constantly drops revelations that turn your perspective of the world and its inhabitants upside down. There's a talking cat, giant mechs, and even more gigantic monsters, all of which you have to grapple with, while constantly switching between 13 different characters. Yet how the game expertly handles its crazy story is perhaps its most remarkable quality. The game peels off one layer at a time, never overwhelming, while slowly pulling you toward its greater mysteries. Character chapters are relatively brief but purposeful, feeling sufficiently different in tone. For as much as there is to unravel, 13 Sentinels goes out of its way to spotlight smaller moments, grounding characters as we get fascinating and sometimes humorous glimpses into their lives. It all combines into what is, without a doubt, one of the most intriguing stories of the year. Animal Crossing: New Horizons. We would be hard-pressed to think of a game we needed more in 2020 than Animal Crossing: New Horizons. A safe harbor with familiar friends and family, both real and digital, human and animal, this island away from it all is a bastion of hope and comfort in one of the most tumultuous years in recent history. But even if this game had sailed into our lives on calmer seas, its endless charm, beauty, cuteness, creativity, and positivity would have certainly still been one of our favorite escapes in any year. Doom Eternal. Following in the blood-soaked footsteps of Doom 2016, Doom Eternal is an uncompromising symphony of carnage that isn't content with simply replicating past success. It's bold and unabashed in its design and demands your full attention. Moving at an insane pace, Doom Eternal never lets up and instead forces you to adapt on the fly and find your own rhythm of destruction. Blasting through demons is just as satisfying as ever thanks to expertly crafted encounters, and new additions to the Doom Slayer's arsenal, like the Flame Belch and Grappling Hook, perfectly mesh with the gameplay. Add in Mick Gordon's brutal soundtrack, and you have one of the most adrenaline-pumping experiences of the year. It's time to rip and tear. Final Fantasy VII Remake. They say dreams can come true. Look no further than Final Fantasy VII Remake as proof. An exhilarating RPG that manages to capture the essence of what made the original so endearing, yet it continually finds ways to innovate in just about every aspect to deliver a refreshing new take. The battle system is phenomenal, the soundtrack is out of this world, and many of the locations and cinematic sequences are downright breathtaking. Square Enix took unbelievable risks with this undertaking, but the payoff is so precious, recreating the feeling of playing the game for the first time. Ghost of Tsushima. Sucker Punch is no stranger to open-world games. However, Ghost of Tsushima is by far their finest work, and one of Sony's strongest new properties. Ghost of Tsushima is an epic tale of honor and vengeance that's brought to life through a wonderful cast of characters and rich history. Its elegant and fluid combat offers an impressive amount of depth with various sword stances and ninja tools to experiment with, while the island of Tsushima itself is a captivating setting filled with beauty and mystery. Finally, post-launch editions, including Lethal Mode, New Game Plus, and the excellent multiplayer mode Legends, allow us to not only continue the journey, but to play in this world in new ways. It's a remarkable package that keeps us coming back for more. Hades. After an extended early access period and plenty of buzz, Hades managed to seize the moment and deliver one of the best experiences of the year. A landmark title for roguelikes, Hades deftly blends narrative intrigue and combat with long and short-term progression. Each escape attempt from the depths of the underworld is rewarding in one way or another, whether you learn new insights into the pantheon of gods or earn gems in darkness to upgrade Zagreus and the House of Hades. 6 weapons and countless boons make each run feel dramatically different, and choosing how to build Zag with the options presented is an addictive, rewarding balancing act. Half-Life Alyx. VR offers a level of immersion that most games can't compete with, regardless of genre, but Half-Life Alyx is functioning on a whole different level. Just like the rest of the franchise, the action is segmented into one brilliant scene after another, and none of them take longer than they need to before you're catching your breath and gearing up for the next. Whether it's due to an issue with physical or financial accessibility, many people have to pass on experiencing it, including members of our own team, and currently, there's simply no way to replicate it outside of VR. These restrictions are frustrating, but they're also the reasons why the game completely blows our minds. It's a groundbreaking effort we're going to be comparing other VR shooters to for a long time. The Last of Us Part 2. 2020 may have been the best year for The Last of Us Part 2 to release, or the worst, depending on who you ask. Some absolutely hate the story of revenge, murder, and forgiveness, while others are convinced it's the greatest story ever told in the medium. Whichever side you fall on, it's impossible to deny the masterful craftsmanship of Naughty Dog's post-apocalyptic setting. A breathtaking level of detail brings each environment to life as the scenery constantly changes. Combat encounters are varied and tense, with compelling AI that hunts you through believable structures and terrain. And the team's commitment to accessibility truly goes above and beyond. Through it all, the characters make each moment matter with incredible performances that touch on relatable hopes and fears. Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales. What could have been just a showcase for PS5 performance, or a quick continuation of the second Spider-Man's backstory before a bigger sequel, ended up being one of the most emotional roller coasters we went on last year. A charming, believable cast shines as the city of New York faces some of its biggest threats ever, and Miles himself proves to be the most capable of the bunch. A new arsenal of gadgets and deadly enemies make the combat feel both fresh and familiar, and the snow-covered backdrop of the holiday season gave us a cozy but thrilling end to a stressful year. Miles has truly made a name for himself, which is no easy task, and we can't wait to suit up with him again. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It may seem easy to simply address the criticisms of your predecessor to craft a superior sequel, but hats off to Moon Studios for pulling off something truly spectacular with Ori and the Will of the Wisps. The addition of combat abilities along with ingenious new traversal skills elevates Ori to another level, but exploring the expertly crafted world with its striking art direction and magnificent music really knocks it out of the park. The cherry on top is its emotional narrative told through superb visual sequences that whisk you away on an adventure that won't soon be forgotten. And the Easy Allies 2020 Game of the Year is... Half-Life Alyx. Half-Life Alyx is the type of game that only comes around once in a very great while. Considering the incredible legacy of the series, as well as the limitations and potential of virtual reality, it is astounding that Alyx turned out so thoroughly excellent. The game is relentless with introducing creative ideas. Players skulk around a terrifying zoo, fend off headcrabs in the dark, fear for their life in incredibly tense shootouts, and carefully avoid a seemingly unstoppable menace. Although there are plenty of specific big moments to gush about, the connective tissue between the larger scenes is equally interesting in its own way. Alyx strongly encourages a playful attitude, hiding rewards in the most unlikely places, so that you'll dig around and interact with as much as possible. It gives areas a ton of life, feeling like locations you're supposed to truly inhabit instead of just admire from a distance. Almost every detail is finely tuned to heighten the emotion of the moment, such as the physicality involved with reloading a weapon while bullets whiz above your head. Yet these actions aren't something you really struggle with, walking a razor's edge of being simple enough to do in a pinch, but also inducing just the right amount of stress, so you'll sweat a bit in the moment. Valve has a masterful understanding of how players will approach this game, and has meticulously designed it to be as enjoyable as possible, making Alyx more than deserving of our award for Game of the Year. Easy Allies is made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to help us make more. For just $1 a month, you can gain access to weekly updates, spoiler discussions, and exclusive shows.